So, we have ourselves a teaser trailer. So, before we go into specifics, I'm just going to give my general thoughts, and then I want you to give your general thoughts, Mr. Rebirth, who's joining me for this reaction to the first footage that we have of the Batman. So, this is just my first thoughts. I still don't like the suit. I feel now. So granted, the suit looks better in the trailer. It moves and looks better in the trailer. But for me, I'm still not a fan of the suit. I just think that in terms of the dimensions and what it looks like economically and so forth, I mean, the cape, the breastplate, specifically the cowl just doesn't fit him. So it's just a bad fit. So even if you're going with the guy that's starting up, the cowl just the cowl has to fit the flipping dude. So that's the thing. The fight scene looks pretty impressive. And it feels as if, unlike the Nolan movies, this dude is actually fighting. So that's the second thing. The fight scene looks good. The tone. It's a very, very interesting tone that I'm getting here. I mean, it definitely feels like Seven. Like even when you even look at this texture and the color grading on this, it feels like, okay, he's going for a David Fincher kind of look and feel and so forth. And I just think, that thing with when you saw Gordon come in and look at the reels and everything, like, oh, okay. Because again, we've never really had a proper Batman detective story.
Yeah.
Because it's only been hinted at before, but we've never had this guy, he's really solving crimes. You're basically seeing a progression of the crimes, and he's basically trying to use his investigative skills to try and break stuff down. So we've never really had that in a Batman film before. So that is interesting. So just general thoughts is, I still don't. So I'm not sold on Catwoman. I'm not sold on Catwoman. It doesn't work for me. Not sold on the suits. Now, I think we may have seen Riddler in this. So I think Riddler was the guy with the flipping mask around his face and all that kind of stuff. So they're obviously showing a very different kind of Riddler. And this is what I've always said. Riddler is a very interesting character.
Yeah.
If you can do him well. And I think that's because I found it strange that Nolan, of all people, didn't use the Riddler because he's a psychological villain. So those are my general thoughts. Let me give over to Rebirth. So what are your general thoughts and reactions to this?
I've been sitting at my desk since 1 o'clock this afternoon. I watched the entire thing, and this trailer was the best trailer of all, and it made sense that they would leave it last, because this was the best trailer featured on the entire show. I don't know who the composer is, but I really like what this guy is doing with the theme.
Yeah. It's Michael Giacchino, the guy who did I think he did Speed Racer and he did Cloverfield. And
this I'm liking what I'm hearing in terms of the theme. I like what I'm hearing. I think Robert might actually do some good work with this role. And based on the way Matt Reeves was talking, he sounds like he knows what he's doing. Based on what he said on the panel, he's very interested in like the character-driven narrative behind it. And so for me, I think the trailer is good. I do share your sentiment with the suit. I don't think it's terrible, but I do think it's better than. I mean, it's not terrible, but it could be better. It certainly could be better. I'm not sold on it either, but it's not terrible. It's not trash. I think
no. See, let me tell you this. I'll tell you this right now. It is not as bad as the Dark Knight Rises suit.
Yeah,
the Rises suit was atrocious.
Yeah, I agree.
That was atrocious. So let's look at Pattinson right now. So the other guys are like, he's the wrong guy. He's too thin. He's too slim. Issues with him not really lifting weights and stuff. And here's my thing. You see, I've always said that Michael Keaton, Tim Burton, that for me is the best iteration of Batman on film, 100%. Okay. So I don't need my Batman to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. For me, he doesn't need to be. And why I liked them picking Pattinson is, okay, this is an actor now.
It is.
See, Like, see, Ben Affleck is the cheesy route. So Ben Affleck is okay. We're not trying to just do something to acquiesce to the comic book fans, but Pattinson's like, oh no, when you look at the independent films he's done and so forth, it's like, oh no, 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 this is like it has to be like a film. And what you're seeing from this is, you see, because see, I didn't know what kind of mood they were going for. I thought that okay, you'd get Pattinson, but you'll still try and make him be like the playboy, lover boy, all that kind of stuff. But really, what we're getting is no, the real dark, moody. Basically, it doesn't seem as if there's any space for the playboy Bruce Wayne in this.
Yeah.
It just seems like this is just all okay. He's moody, very gritty. He's got issues with him. So seeing Pattinson in this, what are your emotions with Pattinson?
Well, when Pattinson was originally cast for the role, obviously a lot of people online were having second thoughts about it. But to which, for me, that's never anything to go off of because the internet will complain about basically everything. But I did go digging to some of the stuff he was doing after Twilight because for me, when I thought of Robert Pattinson, I was like, oh, the dude who did Twilight. So I was like, okay, let me go look over and see. What are the other things that he's done? When you look at the other things that he's done, this dude can act. Like the man is legitimately talented like he knows how to act. And so being that Tim Burton's Batman, along with what's the name of the guy you like? His name just escapes me.
Joel Schumacher?
No, like the one who's going to be in the Flash movie. His name just escapes me all of a sudden. The Batman.
Oh, is it Robert Pattinson?
No, I'm talking about your favorite Batman with
Keaton.
Okay, sorry, yeah, the name was just escaping me. Keaton was before. Like I'm too young to have. Keaton was not for me, so I can't relate to some of the stuff you say about Keaton. But I do appreciate the fact that they went to go get an actor, which tells me what type of movie he's trying to make. He's trying to really go a certain route, and I don't hate Ben Affleck's Batman. I will defend him. I will defend Zack Snyder's choice of Ben and Cavill, like as much as I have to. But I think that in terms of acting skills, Robert Pattinson is probably the best casting for Batman as far as my generation, between Bale, Affleck, and then Robert now. So I think we're in for something special, I think.
You see, my thing about this, because again, I was just watching obviously Jody's Corner do his own review and stuff.
Jody.
Is because I was like, okay, look. This almost goes back to the whole Dark Knight thing. This feels like an R-rated film.
It does.
Yeah. But there is no way in hell one of the most popular characters on the planet, Warner Bros. Are going to sign off on an R-rated movie. But here's the thing, though. Joker made $1 billion.
It did, yeah.
And that was R-rated. You see, my thing here is this. If you're Warner Brothers and you look at Joker and so forth, because keep this in mind, again, you use Joker, that's made crazy amounts. Of course, people say, okay, well, because it was the hype and everything, but still, it made $1 billion.
Yeah.
You have to remember that this is Batman. This is one of the most popular characters on the planet.
Yeah.
If the film is good, see, the key thing that the film has to be good. If the film is good, I don't see any reason how you can't still make all the money. Because see, my thing about this is that if I look at this now and they say PG-13, no matter how much you want to push it and everything, there's only so much you can do because this is obviously a film noir. You see, the Ben Affleck thing and everything, oh yeah, that can easily be PG-13 because see, that's just you're trying to be like Hush. Because literally, Ben Affleck's Batman was Batman Hush by Jamie Lee and Jeff Loeb. No, sorry, Tim Sale, I think. That was what that was about. This is like, okay, we're now making a film. So yes, you're drawing upon some things in the comic book, but this feels more filmic and more dark. So my thing about this is, okay, so let me ask you this. Could this work as a PG-13 or is this holding the potential of what this can do back by not making this an R-rated film?
I think as even if it was PG-13, it's still going to do great regardless. I think that well, for one thing, for example, while you were narrating your perspective, you mentioned Warner Brothers, and while I do like Warner Brothers are the ones in control, but I just want to point it out that they did get bought by the AT&T, the HBO, the HBO people, and so there's been a lot of changes at the top, and so it's not the same. Like the people calling the shots aren't the same people. It's changed. And so the people who are now okay with Joker and pushing the R-rated movies, like there are new people who are more in tune and that R-rated movies can and do have a place in like the cinematic universe. And so I think that this movie, it's definitely pushing it's pushing the limit. You could really tell, even from the way, like from the tone of the movie, all the deaths, and even the way he was fighting. That little scene was very brutal. I don't like actually. Well, Ben Affleck's was actually more like he was just going on a killing spree, so that's different. But the tone here was actually very serious. And so if it's not going to be R-rated, I don't think they're going to do it. It's not going to be R-rated. I don't think Warner Brothers has the balls to do that right now. But even in spite of that, it's still going to be taken seriously because Matt Reeves looks like he's trying to make a serious movie. He's genuinely trying to make a serious movie here. But if this does well, I think that it opens the door because DC is now trying to do multiverse stuff. And so if you as a company, you're more interested in that we want like the children and everybody to be able to enjoy Batman, you could still create the Batman. Let's just say Ben Affleck continues. I mean, we don't know, but let's just say he continues. There's the Batman for everybody. So where everybody can go and enjoy it. But then you can still have other creators do their own stories and then have that be R-rated because now you've created the multiverse where there are many different iterations of it.
Okay, so we didn't see much of her, but we saw a little bit of Catwoman. You see, for me, look, let me be real with you. I'm not really a big fan of Zoe Kravitz. I've seen her in a few films. I think she was in this film called Good Kill, by Andrew Niccol with Ethan Hawke and everything. She's okay. See, for me, my thing is I can understand why they'd put Catwoman in here, but she's not needed. Because this is year 2, Homeboy just starting off. But I get it that you need a bit of a love interest, and I think a Selena Kyle works sort of in an early days or something. So in my view, it's still early footage. You can't judge someone based on a trailer. You can't judge a performance on a trailer. But from what we've seen, what about you? How are you feeling about Zoe Kravitz, Catwoman?
Yeah, I concur. I don't know much of Zoe Kravitz as an actress, but for me, Catwoman in general, I've really felt that from the little that I know about like everything, to me, I'm like, it's always has to do with a love interest, and then maybe she has a dimension on her own, but that's pretty much it. As a Batman fan, I don't really care about Catwoman that much. And so, being that he felt that Matt Reeves felt that he wanted to put her in there, I want to see maybe he has a reason for that besides love interest. Because if it turned out to be just a love interest character, I would say that's kind of you could have done without it. Because again, he's relatively new. You can explore that story later. And so I don't really have much of an opinion on Zoe. I'm here to be either impressed or to be let down. But if all she's got for her is that she's a love interest, I would say then he probably dropped the ball if this is all you have for
her. So this was obviously, I don't know what you guys can see, but this is now. Do you think this is the Riddler or this is just some other character?
That's a good question.
Because again, we could never know, but I am willing to guess that it's probably the Riddler. That would be my guess, because see, my thing is, who knows, I might be wrong, but based on how they're making everyone look and the world and so forth, would they really produce a Riddler with a green hat, green eye thingy, and a question mark on his thingy in this world? I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah.
So maybe this is just his own realistic interpretation of the Riddler based on this world. But again, that's not really my main thing. My thing is that my biggest fear was, so you have Penguin, you have Falcone, you have Riddler, too many villains. But if this teaser is telling us, giving us broad strokes of what the film's about, then maybe what this is, which is what I hope it is the Riddler is the main villain. Penguin is, because I think I had what's his face? Colin Farrell say he's only in it for a very short amount of time, so he has a very small screen time as the Penguin. Falcone, as we know now, is like a crime boss. So my thinking and my hope is the Riddler is the main villain, And those guys are just side things. And the main crux of the story is these crimes and him trying to solve these crimes and the Riddler going off against Batman. So how do you, what are your vibes with because obviously I think that was his voice. I think that was Paul Dano's voice. So how are your vibes with the Riddler being the main villain, or would you prefer multiple villains in this film, which I just think is it's crazy. I prefer mano a mano.
So for me, because in the trailer there are two people who do the narration. The first one is implied to be Gordon, and then we also hear like another person where his voice is, it has been like tempered with, so it sounds like someone's trying to hide the actual voice. It looks like it's going through some sort of device to make it sound different. And so Gordon is the one who's narrating before, because he's reading off the card. So that's the first one, and then the Riddler is talking, but it's not his actual voice because he's using some sort of speaker or something. And so to me, I think that this, I don't expect to see the Riddler from the comics with the whole hat and everything. I do believe that there's a very good chance that they're trying to go for a different feel, a different look. And if it's going to be this, it's fine. I don't think he would have wanted to show us like Riddler's actual face yet anyway, because it's way too soon. So it even makes sense that his face is covered here, even if maybe that's a part of the story in itself. Now, beyond that, I do think that even the Riddler, it does seem like the Riddler is the main villain, but being that it's not an origin story per se, but it's our first look into this new world that Matt Reeves is trying to create. I'm not actually against the fact that he has these other villains inside the story, because based on how he narrated it during his panel, he's trying to, the Riddler has done something, and then Bruce is trying to be the detective to figure it out. But then he's going through different, the usual villains that are around, trying to see if it's them. And so by taking the sneak peek with each villain, you have an opportunity to learn something about them while still learning something about Bruce's relation to them. So that by the end, after you go through all of them, because I feel like all the villains in Batman represent some sort of aspect of himself as a character. So by the time you touched on all of them, you would have figured out something about Bruce himself. And then by the end, you can focus on Riddler being the actual villain. So it's difficult, that's hard to do if he can pull it off. And I think that's to the writer, whoever's script writing. If the writer can actually pull it off, I think that it will be a very interesting way.
See, that's it. The script is going to be very key.
Yeah.
Because if the Riddler is your main villain, the script is going to be paramount.
Yeah, it has to.
The script is going to be 100% paramount, because if that script isn't really popping off, then it's kind of weird, because the Riddler is all about plot. Yeah. It's about how inventive are his riddles and how do you break the riddles down, and what smart, inventive, intelligent way do you basically break down the riddles and stuff. So see, I'll go back to the suits afterwards, but let's just go to the fighting. You see, my thing about this is that, see, the best fighting we've ever seen from Batman was in BVS.
Yeah.
And what I always say to people is that I give Ben Affleck 0 credit for his Batman thing. I gave the credit to the Snyder for thinking of that costume. Yeah. The people who created that costume, which looks great because it looks like the Batman Hush comic costume. Yeah. Also, Ben Affleck probably didn't even do that fighting. That fighting was by Zack Snyder. So Snyder is the main person to congratulate for how quality the fighting was. But as good as the fighting was, it wasn't this. You see, that was very much, it was Arkham Asylum. It was like the Arkham games. Yeah, so it was very well choreographed, but it was very much about, okay, we're doing this for the Batman fans, we're doing this for the video game. This is different. He's really fighting. It feels realer, grittier, a lot dirtier, So my hope is with the action and the fights, because again, I don't think we've ever seen a Batman really fight. Yeah. As in properly, really, really, because remember, even in BVS, that was it. The only thing of him punching and fighting was just that warehouse scene. But we've never really had a Batman film where, okay, no, this guy, he's really getting down and dirty, fist fighting and so forth. So if that little tidbit we had is peppered out throughout this film, for me, that is one of the bits that has been the most interested in it. So, I mean, what do you think about the fighting and the action? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I do agree in many respects. I would give Ben Affleck's Batman. I'd give credit to Zach and whoever is his stunt coordinator because they had to come up with that. As far as your issues with Ben, I do want to like I would have given Ben I would have given him credit for Bruce. I think he played a really good Bruce in my opinion, but that's for another day. In relation to Robert's fighting, I think Batman is he's supposed to be a martial artist. He's supposed to be a master of different techniques. And
No,
with
no, but remember, this is year 2.
this
So
is
I
year
don't know
two.
whether he's a master yet in his second year.
Yeah, so it's like Matt Reeves is gonna have to he's gonna have to cover that up in terms of because yeah, we don't even know has he learned and now he's starting or is he gonna be learning as he goes? We don't know. But with Zach's, for example, the idea was that Zach's Batman had been doing that for a long time. He was old, he'd been doing it for a long time, and yet he was just a brawler. He was just really just very like stronger than everybody else. He was just throwing them around, breaking their limbs. You didn't get any feel of the martial artist that he's supposed to be. In this one, I felt a lot of martial art finesse in the way he blocked the punch and and a little bit of brutalness as well. And so I think Matt Reeves being that he's been able to go back and look at all these different iterations of Batman. Like if you're a guy who's trying to do it now, you're in a very good position to look at what they did and notice what they did wrong so you can do it right. And so if he's paying attention, he'll notice that Batman is lacking in scenes where we see him as the fighter that he is, not a brawler, like a true martial arts fighter. And so I would hope that he recognizes that Batman is missing that one dimension and he incorporates it. But for what we saw, that was amazing what we saw. I really liked it.
Oh no! It was good. I mean, again, we really saw a small clip and everything, but you see, my biggest beef with the Nolan films, amongst any, but one of my biggest beefs with Nolan films was the fighting was horrible. It was horribly choreographed, horrendously filmed, and for 3 films, you didn't really see Batman fights, or you didn't even see Batman fights well for 3 films in the Nolan films. And the thing about this is that even if Keaton and Burton, they're my favorite Batman things, action was never really big. It was much more about the atmosphere. So we've never really had a really good Batman fighter. And I've never really seen really good Batman action in terms of hand-to-hand fist fighting action and so forth. So getting us in this could be really interesting. So now I want to go back to the suits.
All right.
And I'm sure people are going to be hating me. Look, I think I have about 3,000 dislikes and everything. But look, I'm not going to change my tone. As I said again, this looks slightly better than the image. But Rebirth, I'm sorry. This suit is ridiculous.
I wouldn't go that far.
It's ridiculous.
Is it? I mean, I'm looking at it right now. And I mean, it's not.
Okay.
I don't like the bat symbol. I think the bat symbol.
See, this thing. In still image, it looks fine because when you look at the lighting and everything, fine. But I'm remembering when he now walks towards Gordon. As you're seeing him walking, you're seeing that the cowl doesn't even fit him. You see, Matt Reeves' argument is, oh no, this is year 2, so he's early. So it's because he said in the Fandome thing that, oh, this is a suit that he pretty much made by himself.
Yeah.
And everything. Cool. I get that. You can still make something interesting and stylistically better than this. Because see, my thing is this, I get that he made the suit himself. At the end of the day, you're still making a movie. You're still making a movie and you still need to make things look presentable. This having a cowl that doesn't fit him because it's very hard. It's going to be very off-putting. Maybe you can get used to it and everything, but at the very least, let the cowl fit him. And even the stuff with the see, okay, the armor is slowly growing on me. I'm like, you know what? Fine, I can accept that. Don't like it, but fine. Bro, Rebirth, that's cowl and the neck thing and the space in his cowl, I can't work with that. I mean, where are you with the suits? With actually seeing the suits
Yeah.
in movement now.
Yeah. For me, I ever since I saw the initial costume test that he posted months ago, I don't like the collar. I'm not a fan of the collar thing. I don't know what he's going for there. Um, the bat symbol to me was kind of, especially when people started theorizing that, oh, he took the gun that killed his parents and then welded. I mean, like, I get it, but to me too, it's like what did he pick it up after he got shot? Did he hunt down the guy, and then the guy years later still had the same gun? Like, to me, I don't even think Matt Reeves is even trying to do that to begin with. When I look at the picture right now, do you think the armor is short sleeve and then there's a gap in between that and then the gauntlet? Is that what it looks like to you? To me, that's what I'm getting. Like, it's short
Nah,
sleeve, and then
no. Well, I think the gauntlets are just built upon his gloves. I don't
okay.
think it's short sleeved.
Okay, because there's a gap right there. Like, if you look at the well, I guess from our perspective, to the left. If you go right down his arm, it looks like the armor plating stops, and then you see a bit of clothing, and then it picks up again from his gauntlet moving down. To me, anyway. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but to me that looks kind of funny to me. But I do like his.
You might, yeah, because I just went in closer. It's very hard to say.
Okay,
It's,
that's fair.
it's very hard to say.
Did you see Jim Lee's like when like Jim Lee drew a
Yeah, I mean, actually, let me actually bring that up. Let me bring that
because
up.
what
Let
did
me
you think
bring
of
that up.
that? Because I
Yeah.
liked what
No, no,
Jim
no,
Lee
no.
drew.
See, if he can give us something like that, see, that generally looks cool. Let me bring that up.
Yeah, this looks good.
Yeah, yeah. See this. You see, this doesn't look like what we just saw.
Yeah, I would agree.
Do you know why? Look at the cow.
It fits him.
It's perfectly fits. So guys hate on me and say that no, don't hate on me, please. Does this image look like what we saw in that trailer? No, because if you look at Jim Lee, he's made the cowl perfectly fit the frame of the guy's head. So once you do that, the color now looks a lot better, and it just seems aesthetically, ergonomically, it works. It's so I'm not crazy like it's
Yeah, I agree with that. To me, I think his suit looks like, and I don't want to harp too much on them because maybe there's more work to be done on it, and so maybe in the final stages we're going to see certain things. But if they were able to capture what Jim Lee drew here, I would say I would be completely fine with it if they were able to do this because to me this works. I like this.
um so let's just say so Valerian says, dig into the writer's background and tell me how confident you feel in this 30-year-old dude. Actually, I thought Matt Reeves was like 40, so I have faith in Pattinson acting wise. 50-50 on the reason. I'm doubting the rights. You see, that's a fair point. You see, okay, I'll be real with you. I really liked Cloverfield.
Yeah.
I thought Cloverfield was a really, really good film. And if you watched Cloverfield in the cinema, quality. I didn't see the final Apes film, but I saw the second one, which was cool. So again, for me, I wouldn't. It's hard to say Matt Reeves is this super amazing writer and so forth. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the dialogue. It was bordering on being a little bit cheesy, but again, it's only a teaser, so you have a very small sample size. So to be honest, it is very hard to judge because we just don't. He's not really given us any examples of truly amazing writing. So
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
like
to be honest, yeah.
with Matt Reeves and stuff.
Yeah, and to be honest, we don't. Based on the teaser, we can't even say anything about Pattinson's acting based on the tape. The teaser is it's hard for us to grasp what the script is like from the teaser.
Mm.
or even what Pattinson's acting is like. But I would say it. Valvina is on point in this regard. That the writing, like if the writing probably, I would even say that the writing has more of a weight on the impacts of the story compared to the acting, because this you trying to tackle the Riddler, trying to go the detective route. If your narrative is poor, if your characterization on how you want to make the characters talk, and like if your pacing is off, like everything is riding on what the script is. And so whoever, I don't know who's writing it, but whoever it is, the person has a huge job to do. But again, to me, the teaser was just to get us hyped, and it did its job because I got hyped. But I can't say anything about the writer based on the teaser, or even Pattinson's acting. You can't really say much from the teaser. It's like we're gonna have to wait for more. But my goodness, the writer has to. He's got his work cut out for him. Very much so.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, look, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Jeffrey Wright, man, massive fan, quality actor. I mean, if you guys have seen Shaft 2000, where he plays Peoples Hernandez, that's one of the funniest, craziest performances that you'll see. See, my thing about it is, I hope he's used well,
Mm.
because if you're bringing in Gordon and stuff, because see, this is the thing about it. I remember Nolan said that Dark Knight will be a detective story. Homeboy was a detective for one scene, and that was it. Because it was like a joke. I said, what? See, because from that opening scene and so forth, I'm probably going to watch this trailer again, is if the heart and soul of the film is investigation. Basically, again, Seven is just one of the best examples, because in Seven, for pretty much the entire film, they're just investigating, and you're finding out slow nuggets, and they're using different detective skills to break down and deduct just, okay, who exactly is this? What does this model mean, and everything. So what I'm hoping is the core of the film is Gordon and Batman and them finding out the clues, because if the Riddler is your main villain, that's your film. You
Yeah.
don't need any other, because the film is, okay, how this guy is basically breaking down the inventions and stuff. So thoughts on Gordon?
Well, to me, I I don't know much about. I'm a very what's the word I would use? I'm a very new movie watcher in terms, because again, I always say anime and manga have always been my thing. It's only since I came to the United States that I began, because now I could actually go to cinemas and stuff. So that's when I've actually become more integrated with movies and stuff. But based on what I just saw of the Gordon actor in the trailer, the one thing that immediately jumped out to me was his articulation, and his delivery, because he was reading the lines, that the Riddler wrote about, "Do you see me?" or I've forgotten what the lines were, but
Mm.
I could almost get a read on the type of character that he was playing based off how he was saying the words. And to me, if you're able to do that, it means that, oh, you're definitely, you at least know what you're doing, because
Mm.
you're articulating the words properly. And
Mm.
so to me, that's probably all I could say about Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon character to Batman is very important. Nolan does his own thing in terms of Gordon, because I felt that with Nolan, Gordon was a little too trusting of Batman too quickly.
Mm.
I mean, to me, it felt kind of like, you're really gonna trust this guy that easily? I would think that it would take a lot more for you to be like, leaving things to him. You don't even want to know who he is. You're just, leaving. I'm wondering what kind of relationship he's going to put in here, because I remember during the teaser, there's a scene where it looks like Pattinson is in a jail cell or something, and it looks like Gordon actually tackles him, and like there are a bunch of policemen around him, and so maybe we're actually going to see more of a back and forth between these two before they inevitably make up. But as far as the actor is concerned, just from his delivery of the words, I think that he's probably headed in the right direction just from his delivery.
Okay, so let me even bring you back to the dude right now. See, another thing that was actually pretty um, interesting, and the thing that I'm actually really interested about is the TV series So obviously they're going to do so basically. So the key thing is this has nothing to do with the DCEU. Thank God.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
God.
It looks like they took your advice on like Marvel is doing their own universe. DC's trying to just do multiverse. They took your advice there.
Yeah. So basically, so because it would have been very stupid if they just said, "Oh, this is now not." So this is its own world,
Yeah.
own universe, and also, I think this has nothing to do with Joaquin Phoenix's Jokers. I
Yeah.
think
Joaquin Phoenix
that's
is
very
a
good
standalone. Yeah.
because I think again, this tone, feel, and everything doesn't fit with what they're doing with the DCEU.
Mhm.
So what's interesting is that because they said that on the they're making a TV series, Gotham PD.
Yeah.
And I think so. They said, and it was interesting. So they said that so it's going to be told from the point of view of one of the corrupt cops and corrupt policemen. And I was like, okay,
Of
that's
the corrupt
interesting.
ones,
Hmm?
of the corrupt cops, or just the cops? Like what did
No,
you
no.
say?
So basically, from what I heard, Matt Reeves say is that it's obviously TV show,
Yeah.
and the main character will be a corrupt policeman or a policeman part of corrupt policeman trying to do the good thing.
Okay.
So he is part of this, because he's basically because he said that he's in a line of all of these corrupt policemen, and there's like been a culture and tradition of corrupt cops, and there's this one guy who's obviously policeman who will obviously be the protagonist, who's obviously trying to sort of do good. So it's we're now viewing Batman in the eyes of these policemen, and I said, if done well, that could be a really good TV show because again, Terrence Winter did Boardwalk Empire on HBO, which was a really, really good TV show. So you see, this is why again, because see, from thinking about that has to be rated R, has to be. So it goes back to this whole thing of like, do you think there is any way one is going to say, bro, it's risky? I get it, it's risky, but see, how risky is it? Because look, you have two universes.
Yeah.
DCEU is PG-13. It's for the kids, it's for everyone. This is totally different. So why can't they just make this flipping R-rated?
Actually, I think they could be because for example, on the DC Universe platform, the show Titans, you probably don't watch it. And I wouldn't even recommend it. It's not very good. But Titans, like, is that rated R? Because they use the F word. There's blood. There's gore. And I think I don't remember ever seeing an R rated in that regard. So when you say R rated, what are you looking for in that regard? When you say R rated, is it the blood? Is it the brutal? Is it the word?
No. Yeah,
Or like the content?
for me, it's basically when you see that fight scene,
Yeah.
if you punch someone, you have to see blood.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you do damage to someone, you've got to see their arm break.
Yeah.
And if it's a gritty world, there has to be one or two F-bombs.
Okay.
So these are the things that sell it that. See, this is what I've always said. There are two Batman films you can make, two types. One is PG-13, where it's about his gadgets, his gadgetry, his villains, the rogue gallery, and so forth, which is, I think, what you saw in BVS, where it's just much more about the coolness of Batman and the special abilities that he has. See, that's the kind of Batman that you would see in the Justice League.
Yeah.
This dude has no business in the Justice League.
You know.
You know, so for someone like this dude, this is the R-rated Batman where what would it really be like because just think about it. This is supposed to be the most corrupt city on the planet. And you have a guy dressed as a bat fighting criminals. That's not PG-13. That's an R-rated film. Because in order to really show how messed up, depraved, and screwed over a city is, you have to see guys who throw F-bombs. You have to see blood. You have to see violence.
Yeah.
To really say that this is the worst city on the planet. It's a total mess. It's a cesspool.
I agree. I think for any Batman story, like any story that wants to explore the true psychology of Batman and Bruce Wayne, you have to the Gotham is like half. I don't want to say half the story, but Gotham is part of the story because it has such an impact on Batman's psychology himself. Being that it's so violent and crime is so high that his parents died. It's so violent that he has to be so brutal because that's an aspect of it, in that he has to go to certain lengths to where the only way to stop the criminals from doing their criminal deeds is for the criminals to fear him. That's how bad it is. Like, the only way for you to stop them is if you give them something to be even more afraid of, which is what he tries to do. And so if you want to get the point across that Gotham is a bad place, you have to venture into the R-rated territory, and you have to sort of even take like Batman's own psychology into the R-rated. And it's really hard to explore it without going too far. I think, for example, Joker did a good job of explaining how bad Gotham was without getting too violent with it, because it was so psychological.
That's a perfect. I'm so glad you brought it up. That's a perfect example. How violent was Joker really? It wasn't gruesome. It wasn't overtly gruesome, but there were specific things thematically that they did that made you say, okay, this is R-rated. So it's made you believe how depraved and how messed up the city was. So you truly believed in the authenticity of this being a messed up city. It is important. See, as hard as Nolan tried, PG-13 holds you back because there's only so much PG-13. Because look, these boards that give the ratings, they look at everything very specifically. Because that if they mess up, parents will be after them. So when your thing gets a PG-13, that means they're looking at all the F-bombs, all the content, suggestive content, everything they're looking at to make sure that you get a PG-13 and so forth. So, but see, my thing is, you see, if you're an artist, you're making a story and sort of, you want to ensure that you get the points across of what you're trying to say. From this trailer, maybe I'm wrong, but from this trailer, I feel this film is trying to say this is a very dark, gritty world that he's in.
Yeah.
You can't do dark and gritty PG-13. You can't.
You can, but the effect will be mitigated.
No, it's true. You can, but you can only go so far. And it's going to be very difficult for me to take you seriously. Because I'm like, well, how bad is it when I've not seen any blood? People don't really swear. I don't see any kind of suggestive things. So I'm like, so my mind has to do too much gymnastics to believe that, this is a really messed up world. But if it's in a world where there are people who swear, there is blood, there's sexual suggestion and stuff, which is what happens in the real world, in a real messed up place. I'm like, I now believe in your authenticity, because you are showing things and depicting things that would happen realistically in a world that's like this,
Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, go.
Yeah, so yes, I think that it's for reasons like those. That's why I think whoever does the script has a lot of responsibility, because if we assume that HBO and AT&T are saying that no, we can't make this rated R, but I feel like if you're the main point when you're talking about R-rated movies is that these R-rated movies have certain concepts that are R-rated. Like, these are heavy concepts, and so depending on the type of writer you have, you can do the job as best as you can without necessarily going R-rated. Like, for example, you don't need to drop an F-bomb for us to know that your the way you talk is wrong. Like, you can write a character who's known to be to say bad things without letting them drop the F-bomb. Just like with the Joker, for example, what he did was, for example, there was trash lying everywhere around Gotham. Just by showing, and trash is not rated R, but just by showing you all the trash around, it gets you can tell that this place is dirty, and the big rats and stuff. And there are ways for you to walk around not being able to drop F-bombs and and things like that. Which is why I think the Joker is such a good movie, because how many F-bombs are in Joker? Not that much, and how many violent scenes? It's more of like the psychology of it is what they were scared of, because they're tackling such important things. And so to me, it all comes down to the writer. Whoever's sitting at the table writing this story has a huge responsibility, because if you want it to be dark, you can make it dark and not have it be rated R. You know, like for example, I like the detail where when he takes off his cowl, you can see the makeup on his like under his eyes. No,
Actually,
I don't think any Batman has done that yet.
do you know what? Do you know what I've always said? And this is what I've always said that people that no one has ever done. Because if I was making Batman, I would make his entire face black.
Ah, the SJWs would come after you for blackface.
Screw them. Because my argument is, in the army, camouflage.
Yeah, that's a
So
real thing.
people wear, because the whole point is his stealth. So when you're in the army, they put green and black so that you can't see where they're coming through. So obviously, okay, so maybe you don't want to see any scenes with him wearing black because people say, okay, it's blackface and everything. But whenever he's Batman, I would just say paint his entire face black because he's trying to be like a stealth dude. Because if you do that, then it's like, oh,
it makes sense. It does, but wouldn't you just get him in helmet
makes so
then?
much sense.
Like, why don't just get him in helmet altogether? Like, just get a full helmet that's all black, because the blackface is not gonna stick.
No. But no, the things why I say it will look a lot more threatening and scary, and he will be a lot more psychotic.
Okay.
If you do that again, look, they even say it in the trailer, like, man, this guy's crazy. And see, that is an aspect that they sort of lost in Nolan's films. And that is why I sort of wasn't really riding with Ben Affleck thing. Is like, if you dress up as a bat, you're crazy. You see, I've never understood the whole playboy thing. No. He's nuts. He's a borderline psychopath. So it would be very interesting and scary if you have a dude who's painted himself all black, like basically like what's it called? Because there's a scene in Apocalypse Now where you see Martin Sheen, where he's like, I think he's either black or green, and he goes through. If you do that, that would be like, geez, okay, damn, because obviously what Reeves is going for is this is supposed to be a guy that is really scary, but not scary, but also crazy,
True.
And I hope that they get that across in this, because you see, they hinted at that very much in Keaton's Batman, but he didn't really have that much screen time. But we've never really seen a Batman where which is why from those scenes you saw of Pattinson and so forth, it's like, okay, I think they're really trying to get into the psychological aspect of the dude, and the character aspects. I mean, so where do you stand on the whole Batman psycho crazy thing or thinking?
I think in many ways, Batman, like, being it's sort of one of the things that were involved in BVS, where a lot of people did criticize what Zack did with Batman in Batman v Superman, where Batman killed, or Batman, he had given up on the world, or things like that, to where it's more so in the psychopathic nature of Gotham, where Gotham is so bad that if you've been in Gotham trying to fight crime for many years and the crime is still not going down, it makes sense that it would start to affect you mentally, to where you're beginning to give up and your moral compass is beginning to get skewered. Which is why I never really hated the fact that Ben's Batman killed or did all that, because to me that made sense. And it was more so, as far as that movie was concerned, the whole point was to get him to a place to realize that no, there's still reason to still to still appreciate the good in the world, which was, to me, is like that whole point went right over people's heads. But Batman as a psychology, in many ways, Batman is the man. Bruce is the mask. And I forgot who said that, but it was a very good line, to where, Bruce is the mask. He fakes being Bruce, but he is Batman.
Batman is his real self.
Yeah, Batman is who he really is. And so to me, I'm like, if Matt Reeves, I don't know how he's gonna do this, because there are so many ways that he can take this, and it's got a lot of potential. If he can understand that dichotomy between being a human, being Bruce, and being the symbol, being this psychopathic, fear-inducing figure in Batman. If he can figure out the dichotomy between these two, I think we could be in for a very, very interesting movie. And yeah, I mean, I wish him all the best because I just want a good movie.
Okay, let's just take some comments from the people. So Trevor wants to give me some David Fincher mixed with it. So were you feeling? So did you watch the Daredevil Netflix series?
I did not. I did not.
Yeah,
I've heard good things about it though.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you saw it, you would definitely feel that there's very lot. Basically, even when they released the first teaser, they're like, no, this looks like Daredevil. So it's if you look at Daredevil first season, it looks a lot like this suit. I mean, look, you see, I think we actually talked about this before on another live. My dream, this has been for years. My dream has been either an Aronofsky Batman or a David Fincher Batman. A David Fincher Batman like Seven, for me, that would be money. That would be money. So did you watch the Suicide Squad?
I did. I did. I did.
There was a trailer
for the Suicide Squad. Yes, the Suicide Squad got a trailer and they got a game as well, a video game as well. So Suicide Squad was really pushed. To me, they used
there like 3,000 people in that cast, man.
Yes, to me, I didn't know some of these people. I was like, who the heck is this? I don't know who they are. To me, I'm just open. Like, let's see what James Gunn has got. But for what I saw in the trailer, I was like, okay, this looked like a lot of fun, a lot of explosions, a lot of action. I didn't feel like there was a lot of depth. It felt like you'd go in here to see crazy explosions, crazy battles, crazy fights, but not a lot of like actual weight and depth. Like, to me, it would just look like, and based on because it's not a trailer, it's just a sneak peek. So it mirrors from hearing this actor talk about this person, and then the director himself would say things based on what he was saying. It looks like all he was talking about was, oh, so much explosions, oh, fun times, oh, action this, and it's like, that's probably what we're gonna get. So
Okay, so maybe we'll just do this as the last question before we get out of here. So in this trailer, Gotham is the central character here. Reeves looks like he understands Gotham, and that spawns all these amazing characters. You see, this is the thing. I liked Bot's Gotham, but I get that it was very out there. It seemed like they were in a set, but it was very much about, okay, I'm creating a otherworldly Gotham. Nolan's Gotham's idea was cool. See, Nolan's Gotham was really good in Batman Begins. Really good.
Yeah.
But by the time you go to Dark Knight and Rises, it was like, wait, this is Chicago. It's like, it's Chicago. What I'm hoping they do in this is Reeves mixes Burton and Nolan. So it's Gotham. You're creating sets, you're creating buildings and so forth, and you're creating a character, but it's drenched in reality. So it feels like this feels like a real city and so forth. This feels like a real place, but at the same time, it's got its own character as well.
Yeah.
Thoughts about that?
Yes. To me, I think the best way to look at Gotham, at least from my perspective, is almost like from this comment, and it just came to my head. Gotham is a character. Like you would have to look at Gotham as a character in itself, to where like it would, like in general terms, when you introduce a character, you want to go through the process of telling us, the viewers or the readers, the things about this character. What do they like? What do they not like? How are they? And things like that. If you looked at Gotham as a character, then you would actually begin to go, okay, so what does Gotham look like? What are the structures? Reeves mentioned that he was trying to go for a gothic look, which is why they were going to Liverpool to shoot. So it's like, okay, so cool, we're going for the gothic look. What happens in there? What are the crimes like? Are they good people? Basically, you need to treat the city as if it were a person, so that we can sort of understand more and more about Gotham. Because once you do that, then it's easier for you to understand where, because in many ways, Gotham is the progenitor of all the bad things that we see in the Batman universe. It comes from the city. Like, the city is what spawns Joker. Just like the Joker movie. Joker didn't make himself. The city made Joker.
The city is vital. And also, see, Gotham is one of the most popular cities in comic books,
Yeah,
arguably. So
yeah,
it's like it is known. Gotham's like Gotham City.
yeah. So to me, I'm like, if he can, the better he's able to characterize Gotham, the better the movie will be.
Okay, so let me hit this. What did you think about the voice?
Oh, okay, yeah. It's different. So it's different from what Affleck did. Because with Affleck, it was I think if I remember correctly, like Affleck goes into the studio and then he focuses on the very deep whatever thing, and then Snyder can take that, and then whenever you're doing the bat voice, he can just like make it sound like what you did. So you don't have to actually keep doing the voice thing that you have to do to sound like that. To me, this one it sounded like he was actually doing it in scene. And to me, I'm like, how long can you keep that up? Because Bale's voice was terrible. So I just hope he doesn't do that.
You see, no, Bill's voice was really good in the first film, but then in the subsequent films, it was like, nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
So I hope they do what he does what Snyder does. Take him into a booth, let him.
But the voice, for me, it sounded on point. I think basically he was on point. I think it was like, okay, he's hit basically. It feels like Keaton, where not too much, just boom. You're not overdoing it. You're not trying to. It just seems like he just hits the right tone of it. Because again, it doesn't need to be that complex. Just needs to be of a certain tone.
Mm-hmm.
And for that voice, I just think from the line it hit it, but again, we have to now hear more lines.
Yeah. Did you like Ben Affleck's voice as Batman?
No,
You thought it was
because
too
it was
computer generated.
too much. Like because he obviously used like a modulator.
Yeah.
See,
No, I mean,
I understand that. Okay, you want to inflict fear onto your enemies, so you build a modulator just to sort of enhance yourself.
yeah.
But for me, I was like, it's too much, too much. It was too much,
Okay, I suppose that's all right. But hey, this sounded nice. As long as he can keep it up, it sounded nice.
Okay, man. So look, man.
Did you? I mean, before. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna. But did you see Snyder's trailer? Because I was waiting for you to tweet on it. You didn't say anything about it.
I think I saw something, but look, Rebirth. You know where I stand with this.
I know.
see, I'm very simple. Batman v Superman is one of the worst films I've ever seen in my entire life.
Nah.
The film is a flipping disgrace. It's an abomination. So for me, I'm like,
I disagree.
why? It's like, and you know what? Maybe you're right because you said, okay, if people are happy about it and sort of, you shouldn't hate on it. So I'm like, okay, fine, cool. Like, I can't poo-poo on people that are happy about something. Fine. Just for me, it's trash. For me, it's complete and utter garbage. You see, I can work with this. This is I can work with this. This seems like if they're trying to do something. I can't work with BVS and Just League. For me, that just looks horrible. It just terrible. Absolutely, just it's like this is nah.
Wow. Well, I'm completely on the other side of the spectrum in terms of your opinion of the subject. But again, everyone is allowed to have their take on it. But to me, well, as like for people who are wondering about Zach's trailer today, a lot of the CGI was unfinished because, this dude has not finished. Because if there's one thing we can always trust Zack Snyder on is the visuals.
When is it supposed to be coming out? When is the official date?
There's no date. It's just 2021. Deep into 2021, I think. And so, if there's one thing we know about Snyder is his visuals are always great. And when you look at that, you can tell this is like he's the man's not done yet, and it's very, very obvious. But to your BV, like to your Batman v Superman point, like maybe in the future you can make a video because it would be too long to go into that now. But I think that in many ways, especially when you watch the Ultimate Edition, where because one thing, what you saw in theaters. Warner Bros. Because again, Warner Bros. Has had a change in management. Back then, when people were trying to do the Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, BVS, there were different people in management, and they were screwing with the artist's vision. They were messing it up in many ways, like you saw in Justice League. And so, first thing I would say, like, give the Ultimate Edition a chance, because most of the plot holes that people claim, those plot holes are fixed. But for me, if you were to have a conversation about BVS, there are many elements within the story that you can objectively say that.
Okay, but see, here's the thing. If BVS was like average,
Okay.
I'd be like, you know what? Let's see what the Ultimate Edition says. Then the Ultimate Edition may take the average film to a good film. So an average film is like, okay, this is not so great, but I can just see. Basically, put it this way: if there was an Ultimate Edition of Thor, I'd be like, okay, I'm interested, because Thor for me was average. But I'm like, if they say, okay, no, it was not really my vision. Okay, because Thor was okay. It was average, but there were some good moments. Batman v Superman was atrocious. So to go from, and again, this is just my view.
Okay, do you mind name dropping, just because you don't have to go into too much detail? What were your biggest issues with it?
Lex Luthor was poorly cast.
Okay,
horrible dialogue. Doomsday, the CGI on Doomsday was terrible. It was horrendous.
Okay.
The way Batman was introduced was crap. The way the Batman and Superman fights was done and how the resolution was crap. The way Superman was presented, he was presented sort of as an afterthought. The storyline introducing Doomsday was stupid. The fights and the choreography of the fights with Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, and Doomsday, it was a mess. I couldn't make out what was happening. It felt like a video game.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So these are fundamentals. Like, the Ultimate Edition isn't going to recast Lex Luthor.
Okay.
So isn't going to improve the CGI of Doomsday.
So then let me ask you this instead. Would it do anything to your perception of Lex Luthor's portrayal if it were comic accurate? As in, what if there were a comic iteration of Lex Luthor where he wasn't the super billionaire, wicked guy? Like, would that change anything?
It would help it, but you see, for me, because I watch a lot of films and I've sort of like made films and studied film, like, structure is very important. I've just given you bits, but the very structure of the film, the fiber bone of the film is so flawed and so rotten that even if you pick something that's the way they've created the story arc and sort of, it just doesn't work, because you've not told a compelling enough story. Like, I wasn't sold on why Batman wanted to fight Superman. I wasn't sold on that.
Really?
No.
What do you think? What is your reason at this point?
So your Batman, you are literally going to fight a superhero because he was trying to fight villains coming to destroy the city, and by trying to fight them, he destroyed some buildings. He didn't specifically go to Wayne Tower and destroy that. It's like, bro, if you could realize
but he didn't know that. Batman did not know that. I mean, you saw the beginning of the movie. He arrives, and Metropolis is being destroyed by two aliens and he doesn't know what's going on. And one of his buildings in the city collapses, and he loses someone, like one of his close friends, in the damage. And he looks around and you see the devastation that these characters caused in their battle. And so right there, Bruce, being the pessimistic individual that he is, he's like, there's no way, because Batman wants a contingency plan for everything. Now he's here and like, there's this individual, there is no way for us to combat him if he turns around and attacks us. And so to me, that's more of that, that's enough of a reason in that, because, and it's Bruce, he's psychotic. Because I can't control him, he must be bad. Like, that's Bruce. And so to him, like, that's why I have to stop him. Not to mention the fact that Bruce, his moral compass was dead at this point. He was in Gotham for a long time. Robin was dead. The Joker had messed with him in, like, mentally. It's like, to me, wait, Batman should be too smart for that.
He should be, bro.
Is it as in like recognizing that Superman wasn't evil?
Yeah, it's like, bro, if you just thought about it, you're like, does it make any sense me blaming this dude who saved this city from being raised by these invading aliens?
We're assuming that he knows that. He doesn't, though.
Man, okay, look, man, let's just run it.
Okay, man, I understand.
Because I need to sleep, man. I need to sleep.
Yeah,
so Final thoughts, and then we can get out of here. Final thoughts.
DC Fandom as a whole, I enjoyed it. It was honestly, it wasn't until Snyder and the Batman thing before it got good. Before it was Wonder Woman was Suicide Squad was it was Flash was, it wasn't very it wasn't that explosive to me until Zach and Reeves came into the picture. But as far as Reeves is concerned, this is probably the most excited I've been for a Batman movie for me personally, because by the time when BVS was coming out, I wasn't in the United States yet, so I didn't get the trailer hype and all that stuff by then. This was, to me, I'm very excited for what Reeves, and based on what he said during the panel, I feel like this guy actually wants to make a good movie, and I'm excited.
No, for me, I wouldn't say I'm excited. I am interested. I'm a lot more interested after seeing this trailer, because again, before the trailer, I was like, nah, this looks nasty, this looks bad.
Okay.
But after seeing this, I'm like, see, this is, that's what I always said. As much as I crapped on the whole thing, I said, let's see a trailer. Let's see moving images. So the very fact that I've now seen a trailer, I'm like, okay, let's see what you got.
I agree.
Let's see what you got. And also for all those Batman fanboys who gave me the dislikes and everything, I still love you. I still love you guys. Don't worry, I still love you. But it wouldn't change my view that really good fighting, quality fighting, the suits, for me, is flipping horrible. All right, guys. Peace out. We're out, man. Peace.